Hello, everybody. Human beings, animals, universe, hello. My name is Mia Park, and this is my interview series, In Response, interviews with intriguing internalizers. I am live streaming interviews through video over my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, and very soon these are going to be podcasts. It's very exciting. So I created this interview series as my own personal response to what's happening in here September 26, 2020. We still are very much in a struggle for equality. Civil rights issues are at a height. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed, and now we're looking at challenging times with the Supreme Court, which is going to predict how the rest of our lives are going to be here in America. Also, there's, of course, this global health pandemic, and life is still going on. And so I'm really excited to talk today to a fascinating, productive, and like very deep artist, Carron Little. Yay! Hi, Carron. And Carron is from the UK, Scotland, and I feel like you're a citizen of the world. Lots of places. We'll let her share that if she wants. But right now we're in Chicago, where we met because Carron directed me in like a performance art piece, a street art performance piece that ended in the Polish Triangle. Gosh, that was at least 10 years ago, I think, maybe 12 or more. And so that's how we met. And I thought, who is this super cool Scottish artist chick living here in Wicker Park so close to you? And like, what a place and how cool. And then as Chicago's big small, we realized we do have good friends in common. Shout out to Doug Fogelson. And then now we are Tai Chi buddies. So it's nice to be on this kind of journey of connection together. Carron, how are you, dear?
I'm good. How are you, my dear?
Oh, I'm good. Excited to talk to you. Carron's lovely to speak with, and you'll see how super interesting she is. So, darling, is there anything else you want people to know about you?
No, I think that you covered quite a bit. That's great. Thank you.
Okay. I have to, I'm such a dork. Like, I've always loved your accent. So I remember, I think after we met for a few months, you may not remember, I'm sure it's super annoying because I kept repeating what you said, trying to mimic a Scottish accent. Like, no, that's great. Like, it's horrible. I like hearing you talk. Okay, so let's think about, if you don't mind sharing with us, what is going on outside of you? What you're seeing as your outside world, and then how are you internally responding to that?
Yeah, so I live in Chicago, and I live at a very dynamic intersection of Division Street. And I love the fact that I live on Division Street, because of the historical Studs Turtle has written extensively about life on this street and the sense of oral histories along from the west side to the east side. So, and I have, because I've worked on this street, I've worked in Austin, which is on the west side of Chicago, as a teaching artist. Like, I have an in-depth knowledge of the different communities that live on their street. And also on my corner, like, I've been living in the same building on and off for the last 20 years. So I know all of the people, and there's a huge diversity of people that live on our specific corner, which is kind of unique to the rest of the neighborhood, which has been very gentrified over the last 10 years. And you know, I came to do my master's in Chicago, and then since then moved back to London and then moved back to Chicago 10 years ago. And Chicago has been very much part of my personal growth as a human being. And so I feel, you know, the community here, like the performance community, is very, has helped me grow as a human being. And so it's a very, like, here is my heart in a way. Your home is where your heart is. And I do think that idea of moving to live, of choosing, I was born in America, but I grew up in the UK. And the idea of choosing and being a migrant and choosing where you live in the world is so vital. And I really, it takes a lot of courage to do it, and to do it on one's own. And when I came over to Chicago, I had a suitcase and a rucksack and $300 in my pocket, and it was, but taking that courage to, I think everybody should move country once in their life, because you get rid of all the rubbish that you collect, and I think that is, that's been a really important part of my evolution. But we're living in America, where the political situation is creating a lot of destabilization of people's inner souls, and that creates reverberations through communities. So I've been very reflective about how that is working in our current time. So,
Thanks. Community is definitely helpful. Some of the yogis say that Sangha, or community, is one of the ways to reverse your karma or change your karma. It's community. And of course, we're glad to have you here in Chicago. I feel like there's so much to talk to you about. I do want to start asking you about your art. I think that you are a fascinating artist. You're one of these people that is just a living, breathing artist. It's not like, oh, I feel like creating something. You're just in it. You're not even on or off. You're always on. You are really an artist. Yeah. And because you have a lifestyle that is breathing and action of creativity, can you talk about, like, maybe it deepens, like, what's your MO as an artist, your mission statement?
It really, well, it was defined early on, actually. So I grew up in Glasgow on a housing estate called Easter House. And my parents chose to live there. So it was a bit more, it wasn't like we were actually from there. And, there's it was kind of missionary, because we were part of this religious community. So it was kind of complicated, But in the holidays, we would go and live on Iona, which is an island off the west coast of Scotland. It's actually where the Book of Kells was written in the 8th century. So, and I grew up in Iona community, which is a religious community in Scotland, which believes in interpreting the Bible to our everyday situations now. So it's very much kind of embedded in social justice work. And so this early upbringing, living between, a concrete, dark ghetto in Glasgow in the 70s and this idyllic island on the west coast of Scotland really kind of shaped my commitment to social justice and being an artist who advocates humanity, who is about humanity and is about, deep responsibility to us, cultivating community, you know, and to empowering, you know, and to, you know, yeah, just taking on. So my work is really about building support networks in communities through this process of interviewing the public, writing poetry, and you know, kind of taking these oral histories and reshaping them in the form of poems that become these intimate gifts for each person that I write them for. And I think about they're not transcriptions of an event, but they are really metaphorical, conceptual pieces that then are shared along with their stories with the community, and that then I, you know, I built sculptures. I have this whole aesthetic that was inspired by Iona, actually, and this idea of, you know, utopic landscapes, and how, you know, our life journey is about reaching for utopia, you know, whether it's, you know, never a tangible thing, but it's always a search, an inquiry. You know, and very much, you know, I think creativity is so vital to every person's life in terms of just shaping our thinking and how we learn about the world and perception and making meaning of things.
For sure. You know, I realize, Corin, forgive me, I don't think I gave you space to share your internal response to, I asked you 2 questions and I think I didn't allow you to answer the second, sorry.
Okay. So my internal world through the pandemic?
Yeah.
So, you know, my internal world has been very reflective about our times, but I've also been, you know, and I, you know, start off with a daily exercise practice that we do together, and then meditation, and then I do some research, and then I'm very, you know, I'm working on my trompe-l'oeil paintings at the moment, which are based on the poems and the interviews that I've done with people. So my whole artistic practice through interviewing people, writing poetry, is all connected. Now, I haven't kind of delved deeper into, so internally, I've been very reflective of our times, because we've been going through the pandemic, and I have a lot of friends in Europe. So, you know, I have, you know, I'm communicating with people from all over the world simultaneously. And I love that description of, you know, citizen of the world, because I really do believe in that concept. And that's something that's always been very important to me, even, you know, growing up as a child, and, you know, being of this transnational identity as well. And so I started because I run a public performance festival out of sight, Chicago, that you performed in. I think that was in the first year. We have artists from all over the world now. So my immediate reaction was to reach out to the out of sight community, the artists, and say, what do you want to do? You know, And so that has been a space where we come together every week, and you know, there's no obligation. It's very kind of, you know, easy come, easy. You know, it's just, you know, if you wish to be creative and talk about performance pedagogy, you know, there's a space here. And we've moved all of the programming online this year. So through this space, I've facilitated collaborations between different artists. So that has really been that's been a community which has really, like talking about internal, it's really kind of helped me emotionally and psychologically to move through this time, because we have become this supportive community working together. And that along with doing my own work and creating paintings and working on projects, and you know, I've taken the time to be very reflective in this time and do a lot of personal research and personal work, because I think that is, we can't care for the wider community if you can't care for yourself. So, you know, there has to be, you know, I'm always, you know, about this kind of, well, you know, ebb and flow, you know, between self-work and body work, physical and mental, and yeah, and creative practice. So.
Great, so great. So I am so excited because you offered to share a poem. Are you still into that? Feeling that?
Yes, yes.
Oh, nice. So we can experience some of Carron's work because you're so incredibly prolific. I know you had options to share with us. So, you know, do what your heart would like you to do now. And can you tell us, well, I'll just let you do it. You do what you do. So everybody get ready. We're excited. This is great for a performance from Carron Little.
So, yeah, I'm going to, I think because I was talking about how, you know, we are living in this time of uncertainty in America, and, you know, the culture of fear that is really being injected into our country right now, which I think is very destabilizing, both mentally and physically, to people. So, and I think, you know, performance and artistic practice and, you know, forms of exercise are really important in terms of grounding as human beings. And so I'm going to share two pieces, if that's okay, too short. And the first piece really speaks about the times that we're living in. And so these poems are written for people. And this first poem was written as part of a project I did several years ago called Dream Minds, where I interviewed one person every week about their dreams in Chicago for a year. And then each person received a little painting based on the Queen of Luxuria's aesthetic and a poem. So this piece is for Sarah Zalik, and it's called Life on Stage, because we're dealing with a president who is obsessed with his stage presence and how this...
Can you tell us who the Queen of Luxuria is?
All right, okay, yes. So I've been performing as the Queen of Luxuria since 2008. And so so I grew up in the queer community in the north of England, and you know, at the end of every year there's the Queen's speech in the UK. But instead of watching the Queen's speech, we would sit down and watch Quentin Crisp, who was a queer icon in the 80s and 90s, and actually moved to New York. So the Queen of Luxuria is really inspired by Quentin Crisp, and it's you're really thinking about these aesthetics of celebrating difference and celebrating the intimate and personal, and the, you know, the local and the global. And I think, you know, in this conversation, I've kind of created, we've worked in concentric circles talking about both, you know, both the community in Chicago and the international. As part of my research practice, I've really been engaged in thinking about and reading about feminist philosophy and the writings of Helena Suzu, who is a French philosopher, who speaks about language. And so then this took me to like researching ancient forms of language and looking at how the lyrical form, the song, the poem in lyrical form has really been a language that has been passed down from generation to generation through women over, you know, from ancient times till now. And so when I compose my poems, I'm really thinking about this lyrical form. So this poem is called Life on Stage, and it's for Sarah Zalek. A house of many, a room with lots, a stage that can open into a long blue horizontal line, with rooms that can recurve themselves like elevators evaporating into the Mobius. Doors become prosceniums, windows transform into portals between stage left and right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. A ceiling is the floor to the in-between to catch breath and enter where nerves and nausea are left behind, where nerves and nausea are left behind. In the in-between, I stumble through the networks of shifting time, acquire a black top hat, and crawl through a cardboard skeleton left rugged in the winds, left rugged in the winds. I pick up a sword and like a magic trick, I slice off his head and feed the remnants to the audience. A rope descends and hoists me into the eaves. I enter a forest surrounded by a violin player, an accordion player, a flautist and a bodhran musician. A fairyland where the grass smells like chamomile and a sea of snowdrops blinds my eyes. A member of the audience hands me a platter of flesh that is breathing as if it is connected to the membrane of our collective anatomy, that is breathing like a membrane that is connected to our collective anatomy. A swarm of flies cloud the skies to consume their fate. A swarm of flies cloud the skies to consume their fate. I weave in a trance around the trees to the lyrical music, evaporating the sound of death. I jump into a platter of fleshy meat, and the trapdoor opens. The trapdoor opens. I can hear the music fading as I fall and time slows down. I jump out in a white jumpsuit, landing gently in a sea of people, all carpeted as clowns. So I know
that was trippy, man. That was super trippy. That was great.
That piece is quite dark, you know, but I think it holds up a mirror to our times in a way that we're living through right now. And I thought, you know, when I do my performances, I always start with the darker pieces and go to the lighter pieces, because I think, you know, this idea of transformation, you know, part of my work is really about creating space for to have the difficult conversations, which we need to be able to have the difficult conversations in safe spaces so we can have transformation. And, you know, that's really, it's embedded in the poetry, it's embedded in how I can score my performances. And so this last piece is also part of the Dream Minds project, and it's for Peter Tunstall, and it's called Pearls. And pearls are very special to me, actually, because my grandmother she created pearl necklaces for us when we were a child, and these pearls were taken from the river in Glasgow. So I have a deep connection to pearls. So let me have a glass of water.
Of course, we'll drink. Cheers.
Cheers. My mouthfuls and my gulps. So this is called Pearls, and it's for Peter Tunstall. Embedded in a sea of pearls, rooted in a psychedelic disco, my weightlessness starts to flow. And we're gliding like a moonwalker, over a luminous coral reef, immersed in emotions of feeling presence. Follicles of my mushroom hair are dancing in rhythm, to the music of enlightenment. The storm starts to implode. Creating waterfalls, opening channels of liberation. Faith reads open their Bibles. For we're writing a New Testament. We're writing a New Testament.
Oh, that one was lovely. I love that it was, the tempo was upbeat. I love that you sang it. Thank you so much. That one was definitely more hopeful than the other one, and they're all wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that everyone got a taste of Carron's magical performance. There's information on her, links to her bio and her many social media pages, and just her presence and things. So definitely check it out. Carron, thank you so much for gifting us with your performances and your grace and your concentric circle explanations of what is going on for you.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's so divine to see you and chat with you today.
Always, always. So thanks for tuning in and watching, everyone. This has been In Response, Interviews with Intriguing Internalizers. And I do have a Patreon page. So for $1 a month or more, you're welcome to support this project. I do have staff. We're a team, and we're working hard on turning this into a podcast and getting everything just out there for you all to enjoy. So that's patreon.com/Mia Park. And until next time, take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.